The First Rung, Navigating the Leap into Management with Black Ram Media Group. My name is Daniela Siggia-Beasant, and thank you for joining us today. So this class was created specifically for young professionals that are employees in a non-executive role, and they would like to get into management. Maybe you're in retail, maybe you're in whatever, but you'd like to get into more of a managerial role, and for whatever reason, your bosses still kind of see you as the employee, and you feel like maybe you're not standing out as potential for promotion, and it bugs you because you know that you're qualified and you know that you'd be fantastic. And management has a lot to learn, and you see a lot of mistakes that they're making, and they're stupid for not seeing that it could be you to go in and fix everything. And maybe you're not as harsh as I'm sounding right now, but I bet you there's a good portion of you that do very much relate to what I'm saying. And if that's the case, this class is definitely for you. And I'm going to explain to you how to shift your perspective, because that's what has to shift, to the perspective that will make you stand out from your coworkers. And it's not about selling more or better attendance, although all that stuff helps for sure, but that's not what this is. This is the thing, the blockage, because what you have a resistance, you have a blockage, and that energetic that you're carrying is what's keeping your boss from noticing you. It's like an invisibility cloak that you don't even realize that you're putting on yourself. And when you can shift the perspective to the way you need to frame, your perspective, which will then change your behavior and your energetic and everything else, to one that makes you not only the natural alternative, but I'm going to teach you in this class how to create the space for your growth. Because, a place only needs so many managers, which means the room needs to be made for you to even have the space to grow. So I'm going to help you do that, and not in a negative way where we make you jump above your manager's head, or, get rid of someone that's standing in your way, your competition, or making them look bad and you look good. No, that's not how I work. I'm a Catholic. I'm a person of deep faith. So if it doesn't come with integrity, it's not going to last. That's my belief. So what we want you to do is to grow with integrity, and we want to make sure that you don't end up with inferiority complex like imposter syndrome. Because let me tell you something, sometimes imposter syndrome isn't a lie. Like, I know that we love to live in this massive consciousness right now where everybody is right all the time and everybody's entitled to everything and you deserve it all even if you're not qualified. You know what I mean? So that doesn't fly. And because so many people are in positions, and many because they've put themselves in positions where they maybe aren't really ready, you end up with these feelings that we now call imposter syndrome. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes we're just really hard on ourselves, right? That's true too. So let's keep, room for that. But today, what I want you to do, hopefully, is make room for the fact that maybe you could use a bit of realignment on your perception. And I'm going to help you think like a manager or an HR person would be thinking when looking to help you grow. So I'm going to give you the example that, what happened for me, because I had an epiphany early in my career. Luckily, I had a few when I was young enough that then I was able to have rapid growth very quickly and get into management quickly. And one of them came with getting in trouble. It's very true. So very early in my career, I was really good at sales, and that came very easy to me. So because my sales were often double than all my other employees or coworkers, I kind of felt like I was untouchable a little bit and got arrogant. And when I did, I would start to slack in other areas because I don't need to do these boring tasks because I'm superstar. I was too good for whatever. And it was bad. And I had an attitude problem with that. And I had a boss that sat me down and told me, look, like, for me, sales is important, but attitude is more important, because you become toxic. And your sales don't really matter if people are quitting or whatever's not happy or things aren't being done, which then reflect on everything else. Like, I'm sorry. So don't think that your sales make you, irreplaceable. I'll drop you in a hot second. And they even had the wisdom, because I was so young and they were older than me, to know that I could take it the wrong way. And they even said, they qualified what they said by saying, you can listen to what I'm saying and then say that I'm mean or rude for saying that and be embarrassed and just quit or whatever. Just understand that I'm saying this because I think that you have potential. And if you were to polish up these little parts of your attitude, there'd be no stopping you. And so I hope that you'll take this in the spirit in which it's given, the same spirit I'm giving it to you, is like, the advice of a mentor that wants you to live up to your highest potential. So I actually took to heart what they said, and it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed. But I did, and I changed those behaviors, and within a year, I was a manager of that location. Within 1 year, I was made manager. So, these things work, okay? What I'm about to tell you works. At another job I had, I was at, you remember this? Blockbuster Video. I worked at Blockbuster Video for many years, and I loved that job. And I loved my job with the people. So for a long time, I didn't even need a management position because I loved my managers. So my daily routine was great, and I didn't want anything to change. But, Blockbuster was the kind of place that wanted you to grow. They didn't want you in the same position. They needed to keep the roster full at head office. So they were happy to groom people. And that was a big part of your job at Blockbuster. It wasn't just your job in the moment, but what your job could be in 5 or 10 years, because Blockbuster was the kind of company back in the day that you could retire at with a nice pension. So I started to kind of, get that. But again, I was never given the managerial positions. I never got a key to the store, so I was only ever made like a shift supervisor at best, you know what I mean? And I wanted something a little meatier than that, and especially because I came to Blockbuster a little bit older than most of my coworkers. So to me, I felt like my age should have kind of entitled me a little bit, and I had managerial experience, so why wouldn't you give me the shot? And then I had my epiphany. So there was one shift a month that everybody had to rotate taking, and nobody wanted this shift. You had to stay there overnight. It was an overnight shift, and it was to do inventory. And you had to quite literally open up every single video case in the Blockbuster store. And these stores were huge, okay? So thousands of cases, to make sure that the right DVD was in the right case. I think I just aged myself. So that was just awful. It was so awful a task to do, and it was tedious, and it felt stupid because by the end of the next month, DVDs had gotten switched, right? And we would just fix it at the till, and we would get into a habit at the till, checking the DVD anyway to make sure it was right, and then we fix it before they leave. And then even then, sometimes things got missed. So, and if they did, but people would get mad, don't get me wrong, you drive all the way. Can you imagine? Back in the day, though you guys are this young that you're watching this video, then you're young enough that you've never had to do this. Back in the day, if you wanted to watch a TV show that wasn't on at a certain time or a movie, you had to drive all the way to a store, hope that they had it in stock, bring it home, and hope that it was the right DVD in the box, and hope that it played and that it didn't skip or freeze or whatever. So wow, you guys are so lucky. So anyway, imagine getting all the way home and then the DVD isn't in it. It's an empty case or the wrong one or it doesn't work. So that would happen. Even with all these checks and balances, it would still happen. And we'd have to give a refund. And if they were really mad, for credit and everything else. But I hated it. So I was like, man, we fix this at the till one way or another. Like, why are you making us do this stupid shift, And everybody hated doing it. And it was like pulling teeth to get staffers to come to the shift or to not have any excuse why they couldn't do it or whatever. And it was a big pain point for management. And yet management insisted it was necessary. So one day it's my turn. And I'm sitting with my manager and I said, kind of like, why do we need to do this? So I have my big wine. And she says, yeah, I used to feel that way too until I learned why they make us do this. And I said, well, why? And she says, well, because ever since we started to do this, the company saves about $37,000 a month. What? $37,000 a month? She goes, not like company headquarters, just like our district, like our little 5-store district. We save $37,000 a month ever since we started doing this. I said, really? Because we still have mistakes, like we still have. She goes, yeah, and it's $37,000 a month less than it used to be, because that's how much money we lost in refunds and credits and whatever doing this, or not being able to rent because we had empty DVDs. Like, it actually cost this district $37,000 a month when we weren't doing this. So this one shift that we do every month saves us that much money. Why do you think you all got a raise last year? Because we as a district got a bonus because we saved so much money from having done this. That's why we were able to give you the raise that you got and all the perks that we gave you and whatever. That's where that money's coming from. That was like this big eye opener. And not just the task and the money is saved and whatever. The fact that, wow, I was so certain that this was stupid. And boy, was I wrong. So now maybe like, what other things does management make me do that I think is stupid that maybe isn't? So I think from now on, as soon as I get annoyed by a task, I'm going to ask my manager why we do it. And not in a way like I just did, where I was a whiny, complaining, annoying person. But in a, hey, I'm really interested in managerial thinking. I'm really interested in how the company makes decisions. So when we decided to put in this policy, can I ask like where that came from? Now, you start asking questions like that, your manager notices you for a different reason. And some managers aren't that good at relaying that type of information to their other employees. So when you're able to understand why your manager is doing a thing, and then able to convince your coworkers that it's a good thing, and you're able to get behind your manager will start to see you as an ally. Which means then, when decisions have to be made, they're going to come through you as the ally to convince the rest of your staff. And then when you do that, and your boss is no longer having to pull teeth to get staff to do the thing, but instead their staff is 100% on board and behind them doing the things that really help the company, your office or wherever it is that you are, your location starts to look really, really good, which means you're making your manager look really, really good. And then you might be saying, well, hey, wait a minute, I'm the one trying to look good. I'm the one trying to get promoted. Yeah, but odds are your manager's in your spot, right? And you're not going to get them fired. You don't want to play that game because you don't want the karma or whatever. So what you want to do is make your manager really, really good, look really good, make them love you, so that when they get promoted, you're the one they recommend to fill that spot. So this is the thing not many people are smart enough to get. If you want to get promoted, get your boss promoted and make sure they know it's you. And you can't get your boss promoted by writing a good letter, you know what I mean? You have to actually, remember, it's numbers. So the same way your management has different perceptions on things, your head office or whoever they report to, they're probably not there day to day The big decision makers are probably not in your day-to-day realm to actually see the ins and outs of a thing. So they don't see day-to-day how stellar your manager is. All they see are spreadsheets. So if you're a management thinking employee, you will start to prioritize the spreadsheets. And you will make sure the spreadsheets look stellar. And then everything else, is great after that. What most employees that are not management minded will do is they look at all the peripheral stuff first and they put the spreadsheet last. I'm so great that these are what, I don't want to say loser employees. Employees that are not destined for growth, okay? This is what I hear from those kind of employees. I've been busy all day. Busy. Look at how nice our office looks. So nice. For me, it's all about making this place comfortable and beautiful for people to be in and comfortable. We do all the social stuff. I do all the employee morale, because it's all about morale. It's all about morale for me. And busy. So this tells me if you're busy, you're probably not efficient. You're probably not an efficient person, and you're probably someone that gets busy with busy work. And I know that people that complicate their life with busy work aren't really results oriented, because that's not a results oriented trait, right? So that already worries me. If you're all about the morale of staff and I provide such a positive work environment, I can guarantee you're not bringing in numbers. Like, it's almost a cliche, right? And yes, some people manage to do both, and you should try for sure. But, it's usually you're results oriented or you're feelings oriented. And often when you're feelings oriented, you're not so great in the results department. And what do management need? What does head office need for longevity? They need results. Blockbuster that I was just talking about, why did they die? They stopped getting results. They did good fiscally management things, like, for example, putting in policies like those video checking nights, right? Sure. But what they didn't do was they didn't have vision. They lacked vision. Now that part you can't help with, right? Because if you're just an employee, you're not getting paid for vision. They don't want your vision. And you don't know enough about the corporation, the management of the corporation, to even have a vision that's viable. Because you'll have lots of great visions, but they may not be viable given the company. And even when you do, like Blockbuster, their corporate was stellar and they still missed the mark. And it cost them. That company's gone. It cost them. So you need to think within your realm. So if you're trying to get into lower middle management, don't be worrying about what the CEO should be doing or the long-term vision of the company. Whoa, you scale that. You're being arrogant now. So thing number one is to be humble. That's the first thing, is to be humble. And to say, okay, if I'm going to be a manager, I need to know what my manager thinks. I need to know what's important to my manager. And I need to be my manager's biggest ally, not their biggest pain in the neck. And I have to think, okay, doesn't matter what I think is important, what does corporate need to see? So if our sales need to be good, or have to have the lowest returns, or whatever it is, then I need to make sure that our entire locations, like first my performance, so let me get my performance up there on every single metric. And then when that's fantastic, I'm going to help everybody around me meet their metrics. I'm going to make sure that my employee that's struggling with meeting her sales numbers, I'm going to teach her some skills. Because that's another thing. If you're, at the employee rung level, it's dog eat dog. And most employees don't want their coworkers to succeed because you view them as competition. So as long as you're treating your coworker as competition, then clearly you're not leading. So if your perspective is big enough to already be the leader, then you're positioning yourself for leadership. So when I was at Blockbuster, yeah, I was really good. So, and head office saw that right away. Like I said, that was a grooming company. So right away they said, Daniela, you know, you're really good in engagement with the customers, and you're really good for helping someone who's kind of lost and wandering find exactly the movie that they need. So what we're going to do, Daniela, is we're going to allow you on your shift from these peak hours. That's all you're going to do, is you're just going to wander the store with coupons for free popcorn, free whatever. We're going to give you a bunch, and you're just going to sit there and guide people, helping them choose a movie. And then you're going to train the people at the other stores to do the same. And then we're going to implement that as an actual task, right? We're going to do this in the stores and see how it works. Did our sales ever go up? People coming in for one movie walked out with 3. We would put on a 3-for-1 special or whatever, rent 2, get 1 half price or whatever. They'd walk out with more movies, all because I stopped to talk to them with a dumb coupon. Great for sales. So now that put me on a corporate training track. So if I had stayed with Blockbuster, I would have ended up a corporate trainer, and I would have probably gone that route through Blockbuster had they closed. And it's okay that they died, because I ended up getting a job that made so much more money an hour and led me on a whole other career path that eventually led me to this. So even though Blockbuster itself died, everything I learned there helped, launch me for future jobs. And that all came with a moment of humbleness to say, and even that I came out arrogant, because I should have said, why do we do inventory once a month? Can you explain it to me? Instead of, why do we have to do this? It's so stupid. I could smack myself when I think of how stupid I was in that moment. So if you can get into your head that my metrics have to be awesome, I need to learn how my manager sees things. So instead of automatically criticizing how they think, I need to understand it so that I could be their ally and I can make them look good. Because if I make them look good and they see me as an ally, they're going to keep me around on the long term. And if I help get them promoted, they're going to pull me along with them. And I'm going to ride that coattail until I can sail on my own. So that's the magic. That's the magic. It's humbleness. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Being humble enough to recognize that just because you see a thing as wrong or dumb or unnecessary doesn't mean that you're right to think so. It just means that you might be missing information. And who knows, maybe it is wrong. And then eventually, you can become manager and change the thing. Great. But you still have to learn along the way. And sometimes you'll get burned. I remember coming up with a report one time that helped our department realize how much potential sales they lost just because we didn't have the right amount of inventory on hand of the right products. And over time, we could start to see patterns to say that we are consistently under stock on these specific commodities so that we can rectify our purchasing to better meet the demands of our client. That's a pretty impressive thing to invent, right? That was at a different company. My manager, and I took it to my manager thinking that they would give me the credit for it when it was brought to the upper ups. And they brought it to the upper ups and took full credit for it. And they ended up getting promoted and promoted and promoted. I actually ended up terminated from that company. Not because I did anything bad. I had an injury that made me unable to be on the premises. I ended up physically disabled in a very physical environment, so I just couldn't do the job anymore. But given what I had already shown the company, they had known I was the one that came up with that report and I had that kind of capability, they could have moved me to a more administrative role that would have accommodated my injury. But they didn't even know I was capable of that because my manager stole my idea and then tried to, play me down so that that credit wasn't taken from him. And because he saw me as a competitor, he didn't see me as an ally. So, on the one hand, yeah, make your boss look good, but I did want to throw in this little cautionary tale because that cost me dearly. So you have to make sure that as much as you want to make your manager look good, if they're your ally, I have to qualify that with if they're your ally and not truly your competition, or if you can turn them into your ally, even if they are right now, and to protect yourself also. So maybe the next time, that report in hindsight, I should have presented it to my boss when his boss was present, right? And, that would have been the smarter way. And then maybe credit my boss for giving me the leeway to work on such a thing, or for inspiring me to think in that direction. I could have presented it that way, and that would have protected me. So yes, be supportive and everything I just said, but don't be, naive either. I was naive in that moment. There's a saying in the Bible that says, be as innocent as a dove, but as wise as a serpent. And that definitely applies when you're going up the management scale. So remember, if you are being overlooked right now, that means that you're having a perception problem. Either the way you're being perceived or the way you're perceiving things. And you may have all the skills to be fantastic, but there's maybe little resistances you have in your behavior, in your perceptions that are reflected in your behavior that you need to shift in order for your upper-ups to shift their perspective on you and to start to see you as the natural choice for the next leadership position. And if you're really good, they'll create a spot for you, right? But you have to inspire people, not demand it. And as soon as you think you're entitled, odds are there's something you're missing. There might be an ego, you're having a little ego thing. So don't be afraid to really unpack, why you're feeling negative or resentful or whatever towards something. And then also learning when, for example, like Blockbuster, the writing's on the wall. I remember my manager at the time, they had just released the report. If you're interested in Blockbuster trivia, you'll love the inside scoop on this. So you've all heard about the report that Blockbuster did, where they said that they felt that they hired a big media company to do this analysis. And the media company said, no, you don't have to worry about Netflix. Netflix is not a threat to you at all because people love going to Blockbuster to go through the aisles and they like touching the DVD cases to read what the movie is about and, picking their snacks. Like it's actually what you do on a Friday night. And at the time it was like, that is what you do on a Friday night, or special occasion. So that's not going to change. Nobody's going to want to just sit there and flip through channels for something to watch. So you're good. And I remember when that report came out, my boss said, that's it, guys. You might as well start looking for another job. And we were like, why? No, maybe they're right. Maybe it's just a fad. Netflix is just a fad. And he started applying for jobs right away. He quit within 2-3 weeks. He got a job as a manager of a Home Depot and he took off. And sure enough, within 6 months, everything started to spiral. They didn't even replace him. They just kind of added a bit of a pay bump and some stuff to 2 of the assistant managers we had. They turned into kind of like the co-manager and everything just fizzled out. And as soon as he left, I knew, okay, he warned me. He said, Daniela, you'll be out of a job in 6 months if you stay here. You better find another job. This company's going under. So I did. Within 6 months, I was employed elsewhere. And sure enough, within 6 months after that, Blockbuster was dead. Sad times. But even those endings, new opportunities open up, new growth areas. So, don't be sad. And if you feel that you're not getting the recognition, you've done all these things I've said and, whatever, there's still no room for movement, well, maybe at this point you can move on. The best thing is, though, you've refined yourself. So now when you move on to the next role, maybe it will be one with more responsibility. But even if it's not, you'll go in with a different attitude. So you'll blow everybody away at the outset and you'll see growth quickly. And that's exactly my wish for you. Have a fantastic day. Best wishes. And when you are ready to spruce up your profile, do some professional development, take a few classes, whatever it is, let us know. And if we don't already have it, we'll create it for you. Have a great day. Daniela at blackrammedia.com. Go get them.